Hey, well, we're live. And I don't see anybody in here, well, there's 5 people in here, and there's only 3 of us.
We're live.
Oops,
And I don't
no,
see anybody in here.
we got to take care of that right now. There we go. You guys still getting feedback?
That's okay now.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, let me leave it right there. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good. And I just spent.
I think I'm going to have to plug these headphones in. Let me see. I can't hear. So I turn the volume up, I get too much feedback. Oh. Let's see if can y'all hear me now?
Okay, I think I have an echo again. Now say something.
Let's see if can y'all hear me now.
Turn the volume up. All right.
Okay, I think I have an echo again. Now say something.
Let's see if can y'all hear me now.
Too loud, I get too much feedback.
All right.
Okay, I think I have an echo again. Now say something.
Let's see if can y'all hear me now. Too loud, I get too much feedback.
Can you hear me now?
I have an echo again. Now say something.
Let's see if can y'all hear me now. Too loud, I get too much feedback.
No?
Can you hear me?
I have an echo again. Now say something. Plug those earphones.
No?
Can you hear me?
I have an echo again. Now say something. Plug those earphones.
No? Can you hear me?
I have an echo again. Now say something. Plug those earphones.
No? Can you hear me?
I have an echo again. Now say something. Plug those earphones.
No? Can you hear me?
I have an echo again. Now say something. Plug those earphones.
No? Can you hear me?
I have an echo again. Now say something.
I don't know what I'm hearing.
Take those earphones. Yeah, now you're okay. When you
I don't know what I'm hearing. Let's try something else here. Hang in there with us, people. We'll get it straightened out. In there with us, people. We'll get it straightened out. In there with us, people. We'll get it straightened out. Okay, I think we're better now. In there with us, people. We'll get it straightened out. Okay, John, have you got your volume turned up real loud?
No, it's just set to like normal, like 20%, 25%, something like that.
Huh. Okay, how about now?
Yeah, sound okay now?
Yeah, that should be better. Okay. Okay, how about now? Still getting
sound okay.
Yeah, that. Try that, see how that works out. My Thai lady's watching football. She's not going to come out away from football for anything. Oh. Yeah, I don't know what the problem is. The last guy I started my PD retired yesterday after 20. All my friends go. Yeah, I know how that goes. Hey, how you doing there? Anybody got any questions they want to ask us? We'll get them done. We'll get them answered. Last guy I started my PD retired. Sounds okay now? Thank you. Good. All right. Well, this is John Canton. He's got a channel called John Canton, and he lives down in Hot, and he comes up to Chiang Mai a lot and does videos, and has a real cool channel. He likes to get out on his motorcycle and scoot around a lot. And I think the neatest video that you ever did was that one that you did at the border for Burma.
Oh, the Burmese border, yeah. I did another one of those not that long ago. It's really enjoyable to make.
Oh, Lordy. Well, everything's going real well up here. I was up in the city today. I made a video that I'll probably either release tonight or tomorrow. And there's quite a bit of, quite a few tourists floating around. Somebody's got a question. Got a question about visas. Do you want? Yeah, go ahead. We'll answer them if we can, if we know the answer. Yes, I will do that. They'll be in the channel after after the channel closes. I can put them in. Are any of you guys Thai citizens? No, none of us are Thai citizens. I think John, are you working on that?
It's a distant dream of mine. Yeah, it's I hope to get it at some point, PR or citizenship. But yeah, it's jumping through the hoops and should be eligible to apply at the end of next year. So let's see how things go. Fingers crossed.
Okay, let's see, there's another one. I have an 11-year-old that wants to be a YouTuber. Any recommendations for beginning editor software I could get for him? I'll tell you what, we were just talking about that before we came in the channel. I use Filmora 11, and Charlie kind of works on Premiere Pro. And John, what software program do you use?
It's iMovie.
iMovie,
the free one.
Yeah. Well, mine, I paid $59 for it, and it includes a lifetime membership and has all the bells and whistles, on it. And it's really easy to use once you get started on it. But you just have to get in there and make a video and get up there and play with it, and it generally does pretty good. I don't have any complaints yet, so we'll see how it goes.
I'm with
So
John.
Go ahead, Charlie.
I said I'm with John. When I've been making videos regularly now for about 2 years, and it's only recently that I started using Adobe because there's some more advanced stuff that I want to do. The iMovie, if you have an Apple computer or an iPhone. Now, if you don't have that, I don't know if there are similar programs available on Apple products, but iMovie, which comes with Apple software free if you have a MacBook or an iPhone, and the Photos, the iPhotos program that also comes free with the Apple software is really good stuff. I mean, you can do a lot of really advanced editing with the free software that comes with Apple products, and I recommend them highly. Like I said, I just recently bought Adobe because I want to do things. I want to make animations and things like that, which is a little more advanced. And that's the only reason I went to Adobe.
Here's a good question that we could talk about. It says, from my Thai wife, if a Thai foreigner marries a Thai man, she gets citizenship, but not the other way around. Yeah, I don't know if she gets citizenship or not. John may know that, but I know that they don't have to do the same things that we have to do. We have to come up with a bunch of money, and we have to go to immigration every 90 days, and I don't think they have to do it.
I think if I'm not 100% sure on the if the foreigner is a female, but I think that they get citizenship a lot easier. If you're a man and you're married to a Thai wife, to get citizenship, at the very minimum, you need 3 years unbroken visa, 3 years unbroken work permit, and to pay taxes for the last years. And you've got to score 50 points out of 100 to be eligible to apply. So that's if you're a Thai male. So you get points for how much you make, points for degree, fluency in Thai, and things like that. So if you can get 50 out of 100, and you've had your work permit and visa for 3 years unbroken, then you can apply. You've got to apply at special branch. Apparently, it's a lot easier in Bangkok than anywhere else, as far as I know.
Thank you. I'm glad you like my stories. And there's Dave from Gotta Love Thailand. I thought you were going to stop in tonight. I've been watching for you to pop up in the bottom there. Thanks for coming in. Oh, and there's my soccer lady. She's here. Hello. You can step in if you want to. She's shy. She won't come in. How was your trip? I think from the pictures that I saw, he had an excellent trip. Question number 2. I need some sort of medical clearance, which I can easily get here in the USA. Here comes Dave. And he screams. There he is. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I didn't know
This
if it
is
would work
Dave.
or not. I'm in a tent in Surin in the rain in an air conditioned.
Oh man, you got it made. You're in a tent. Is that your tent? Is that your tent?
Is that what?
Is that your tent that you were talking about with the air
That's-
conditioner and all that?
That's the air conditioner. And I don't know if you can hear the generator out there running.
No, I
so.
can't hear the generator. I've got you though. I can hear you. Hey, that's
Okay.
really cool. Visa
How's
question. I
everybody
need some
doing?
sort of medical clearance, which I can easily get here in the USA. Is there a standard form that needs to be filled out by my doctor? To be honest with you, I've never run into anybody that needed a medical clearance. Have any of you guys run up on that?
Well, was it a medical clearance for what?
He says he needs a medical clearance to get his visa.
Medical clearance.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I think.
Which visa is it for?
You're getting your visa here in Thailand.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I think you had to go in, and what it is it's this tell them you don't have elephantitis and herpes and any other.
I think that one's for the work permit. That one. I think if you're getting a retirement visa outside the country, I think if you have the OA and the O, don't they? They have two different ones. So if you do it in Thailand, it's a lot easier. So if you can get the O as opposed, I'm not 100% sure, but if you get the O as opposed to OA, you don't need to show any health stuff, and it's easier.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of mine. I did mine here 3 years ago, and I can't remember if I had to or not. But I thought I had to give them something. But I did mine. I came just came in on a tourist visa, and then got my OA. So, and I don't have to have insurance or anything either.
Yeah,
So
that's the same thing I did. I came in on a O visa, and I don't have to have insurance. Didn't have to have any medical clearance, and didn't have to do a police report either, which was real good.
Yeah, I didn't have to do that either. And mine's kind of foggy because if you know me, I came in 2018. New Year's Eve on 2019, I had pneumonia. My wife or girlfriend at the time took me to the hospital. I spent 2 months with a tube down my throat in ICU, and then another month in a private room in the private hospital in Surin. And so anybody out there that thinks they can come here and not get insurance, it cost me $1 million baht because I didn't have insurance. So God knows what it would have cost in the U.S. But I got excellent care. But my wife, I actually was in the middle of it, and she got a written deal from my doctor, who was a great guy. They let her take pictures in ICU, which they don't let you do. And she went to immigration and finished my visa by herself.
Oh, interesting.
Which doesn't happen very often, I'm sure.
Oh.
So I don't remember at all.
Yeah. Will Thailand reinstitute COVID tests on arrival during November to January? I don't think so. What do you guys think? I think we've seen what they're going to do, and I think that's going to be the end of it. I don't foresee them doing that.
You never know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from day to day what they're going to do. Visa question. So you recommend doing all the visa stuff? Yeah, I would. It's a lot easier and a lot simpler. Anything that you've got to do.
As long as you meet the requirements, that's easier. But if you don't, then you've got to be careful. That's what I'd say. As long as you meet the requirements, it's probably easier to do it like that.
it's a friend of mine right now. He was asking me about this last week. He's applying for a visa from his home in California. And just what John said, you run into those kinds of issues about medical reports and that type of thing if you apply from outside the country. And what it is on their website, they have all of these old arcane rules about being checked for elephantitis and other ridiculous things. And what my friend Paul has discovered is if you just ignore it, nobody brings it up. And I recall 6 years ago, my first visa I got in New York, and I had that same experience. I did need a police report saying that I wasn't a criminal, which was easy to get at the time because it wasn't particularly hard to do that. And but these medical reports, I just ignored them and nobody brought it up. So what I think has happened there is that there are vestiges of some old rules about applying for a visa if you're applying outside the country, but they don't enforce them. But like everybody said, the best thing to do is come in on a tourist visa and get it here. It goes a little more smoothly, I think.
Yeah, Daniel, if you're in the USA right now, I would try to get an O visa and just come on, and then you extend the O visa when you get here, and that's the best way to do it. If I just get a 30-day, how long can I extend? I don't know. I'm believing that you can probably extend it. You can change it to a AO or something like that and extend it longer. I'm really not real sure. Do any of you guys know the answer to that question?
Well, here's the problem that you run into when you start asking expats on forums such as this one, what to do about immigration, is that you're going to get a lot of different answers from a lot of different people. And there's reasons for that. It's because you can go to different places, Thai authorities, and get different answers from them. There are different immigration sections. There's one that I go to here in Bangkok. There's one that Bill goes up to in Chiang Mai, and then there's another one down south. It depends on where you live, what immigration center you go to. And while they are kind of guided by the same rules, they all have their own little quirks and ways of doing things. And I found that exists outside of the country as well, depending if you go to the embassy in New York as opposed to the one in Washington, D.C. So the best thing to do is to ask these questions of a Thai official where you live, and they'll give you straight answers. They're very friendly and helpful people. They're not difficult to do business with. Just go there, or it's hard to get them on the phone, but if you go to the embassy, if you can do that, that's the best way. If not, just fill out a form online. They have online forms. Fill them out to the best of your ability, and if they reject you, they'll tell you why, and they'll give you a phone number at that point to call. So deal directly with them, because if you ask 10 different expats their experience, you're going to get 10 different methods. Yeah. And I remember that being very frustrating at the time. It's best to deal directly with the Thai authorities where you live.
One thing that's very prevalent here is you'll get I think Charlie covered that. You'll get different answers at different immigration offices within Thailand. So one person might tell you one thing that's good for his area, but it's not good in, say, like Pattaya or Bangkok or something like that. We find that quite prevalent here. Yeah, that's very true. If you arrive on a visa and you extend it for another 30, yes, you can do that. That I know you can do.
I think you can only change to certain visas in the country. Like you can't change onto to some, but you can to others, if that makes sense. So it's best to find out before you come to Thailand that you can actually do it in Thailand, because certain visas you can't get in the country. Like I don't think you can get a marriage visa in the country, but everyone used to go to Laos and get it in Laos and come and extend it here, or not everyone, but people. But I think the retirement one you can do in the countries, but I'm not an expert, so it's like Charlie said, it's best to check with the actual immigration.
Try sending them an email. Usually, when I was doing mine, I was dealing with the office in Los Angeles, and I emailed them several times, and it was usually a day or so back before they got back with me.
once you get into a process of applying for a visa, or, you know, in my case, last year when I was coming in, I had to get an entry pass. What the hell did they call that? The special COVID thing that you needed to fly in and be quarantined with the Thailand pass, I think that's what it was called. And yeah, nobody picks up the phone. They have listed phones with, you know, call if you have any questions, and nobody picks up the phone. So what I found out is if you fill out the questionnaires that they put up on the website, in my case it was the embassy in New York City, and send them in. If there's something wrong with them, if they reject you, you'll then get a contact information. In my case, it was an email. And also what I did is I was close enough to New York that I just drove there and went to the embassy, even though they said not to. They said, don't come to the embassy because everybody was afraid of COVID. And I went anyway. And I got somebody that I could talk to in person. And they were very helpful. And at that point, they gave me a phone number. So I had, you know, it's, there
you go.
Bureaucracies. So
will land value increase if foreigners are allowed to purchase land in Thailand? That's not going to happen. I don't ever see it happening.
Aren't they just talking about that though?
Yeah, but it's the common person's not going to be able to buy a piece of land here. I mean, how many people are going to put in the amount of money they want to put down? I don't think it'll ever be. I don't think it'll ever be a point where somebody like me can own a piece of property or something like that. So, and yeah, it would affect the Thai citizens. Everybody snatched the property up real quick, and that's one of the reasons why they don't do it.
But I've found that in terms of land prices in Thailand, they're not as cheap as you would think. Like in the countryside where I live, I mean, it's not cheap. So I don't think that foreigners being allowed would negatively affect the price, because it's already expensive more than like land in places in Europe, for example. It's not actually that cheap. So
yeah, people think that everything's cheap here, but land is not. I mean, you know, the small plot of land that I bought when we built our first house, you know, I paid dearly for it, and prices are just keep going up and up and up. Yeah, you'll also get some shady expats too. We've got enough of them already, I think. Fortunately, no consulate in my city. There'll be a consulate somewhere. It may not be in your city, but there'll be one close by. Good morning, Douglas. How are you doing?
In the U.S., if I recall, there were 9 different regions with some kind of consulate in the U.S.
Yeah, he's in his tent tonight. And I've been waiting to see that thing. I hope you're going to do a video on your tent. Dave, have you got sound? Can we hear you?
What's going on? We're having dead space here. Who's
Oops, he dropped out.
it's gone.
maybe his tent generator went tits up.
Yeah, his generator might have kicked out. He's out in the moonies.
I watched this guy. There's a video channel that I watch. I think he's Canadian. I can't recall the name of it, but there's a guy. He does like stealth camping, and he goes to different places that you're not supposed to camp. He sets up his campsite, you know, like in the middle of a roundabout, or you know, the parking lot of a Walmart. You know, different crazy things like that. I don't know if that Walmart's in Canada, their version of it, and that's what Dave reminded me of, this guy, because he does the same video all the time. He finds some really bizarre place to go camping, and he does it in the Canadian winters sometimes as well. I mean, the guy really is a camper, but it's all out of his car. It's not that difficult. And he goes and he scouts the place out. It's always like, if we get caught, if he gets caught, they probably tell him to go away. So it wouldn't be that big a deal. But he makes a whole big deal about him doing it, you know, secretly. And then he goes in and he sets up his tent and he sets up his camping stove and he cooks something and eats. And then he wakes up the next morning and takes it all down. And it's always the exact same video every time, just in a different stealth place. And I thought Dave could have done that.
We'll see you later. Thanks for coming in. Catch you later too. But yeah, the visa situation is kind of crazy here, and they were talking about the women that marry Thai men here, and that's kind of the way Thailand works. It's just like there's no discrimination here. There's discrimination is non-existent to them. I think it's just it's discrimination by them doing that. And it's the same way with like older people, it can be refused jobs, and that you'll see an ad on Facebook for a job for somebody that has to be between the ages of 18 and 35. In the States and most other countries that would be highly illegal, but here it's just common practice. So I guess them making us jump through all the hoops and the ropes and the bank statements all that is just kind of par for the course. It's kind of crazy. He's got 1 million subscribers. That guy you're talking about's got 1 million subscribers. Amazing.
Yeah, he does very well.
Well, I was watching this Thai girl that lived. I'm not sure what country she's in. She's either in Germany or the United States. I can't figure out which one it is, but she does the same thing. She's probably about 19 or 20 years old, and she goes off in the woods with a backpack, and she builds her campsite, and she cooks. She doesn't say a word the whole time. Sometimes she brings her little dog around with it. It's so cute. And I can just sit there and watch her for hours, making the tent and getting a stream. And one of the tents she made a fireplace in it, and the smoke was going up through the thing. Her parents must own a bunch of property wherever it is, because she's tearing the hell out of the trees and stuff like that, and it's not in a national forest. So but it's interesting to watch. And there's another one that I watched too, and this is a couple up in Canada, and they do the camping out in the sub-zero temperatures, and they put their tent out and they drive their snowmobiles up there, and the guys he's a master cook as far as cooking on that wood stove, and it's really interesting to watch. And I think they've got about 400 or 500 subscribers. One of their videos hit, and within a day, it's 100,000 views. And all they're doing is camping and having a good time. And he does some product reviews and stuff like that. Would you use VJs? You recommend I use a visa agent for the visa based on age retirement. I can bring in 30,000 or whatever it takes. I have a bank account. Yeah, if you use a visa agent, there are a lot of reputable visa agents here that'll treat you right. I'd find a good one, and I think my friend John, you use an agent, don't you?
Yeah, I use an agent to do the application and basically do all the paper. I give them the paperwork and they do everything for me. Otherwise, you sort of be sat in Chiang Mai immigration for hours. So this way, you're just in and out in 20 minutes. But when I've got to go and hear the result, then I'd go and pick that up by myself. But I think retirement visa, they stamp you there, and then you don't have to come back at a different day. So for like 8,000-9,000 baht for a visa agent, if you're like pressed for time or you don't want to go back because they're asking for more paperwork or to get it done there and then, I'd recommend doing it. Just lots of people say don't bother, it's easy, do it yourself, but it is. I suppose it is, but if you value your time, then use one, because it saves a whole day, at least in my case.
I've always done my own since the time I got here, and I spend about a week getting all the paperwork together and getting all the copies together, and usually I'll do a dry run to immigration the day before and let them look at the paperwork to make sure it's all right, and then I'll come back the next day. And I'm usually in there for a minimum of 3 hours. I think that's probably the shortest time I've ever got one done is about 3 hours.
The first time I did the visa, I did it myself about, I can't remember, 7 years ago, the first extension, something like that. And I went in with all the paperwork, everything was correct, but the letter from my employer was wrong. apparently. So I had to go back 2 or 3 times. This was wrong, that was wrong. And yeah, it was just toing and froing and time off work and all this like nonsense. So now I live like 2 hours from immigration. So if something was wrong, it's like 500, 600 baht in petrol just to go and do it again. So it depends on, if you've got like time on your hands, then do it yourself. If you haven't, then use an agent. So that's what I'd say.
Yeah.
For me, I use it just for peace of mind and the fact that I can be in and out in 20 minutes as opposed to the entire day.
I don't think it's a question they bribe anybody, and I've never heard of that happening. But I think that they're a little bit more aware. The agents are a little bit more aware of what they can get in and get through versus we are when we walk in.
I think how it works, at least with the agent I use, they can make an appointment directly with immigration, and then because they have so many cases, immigration knows everything's going to be right, so they don't check it as much, and they get you an appointment. So I think they do work with immigration in some way, because you take you to a back room and everything, your paperwork's already been done. All you have to do is sign something and go out. Like literally, I think last time I was there for 10 minutes or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think what they do, John, is they submit that paperwork probably a day before you get there, and they have a chance to go over it, and you're not tied up there, and then they pick a time for you to come in and sign the papers. And I know quite a few people that do that, and they go to a back room there, and the officer's in there, and he's got a whole stack of them, and he just goes right through them because they've already gone through the paperwork, so it just makes it a lot easier. Hotel
it's not
occupancy.
Never mind.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And I'm just saying, it's not like some people think using a visa agent means that you're like getting a visa when you shouldn't, but you still have to actually be entitled to it. It's just using an agent to smooth out the process. You're not actually getting a visa when you're not entitled to it. That's just have to make that point clear. You actually have to be eligible for the visa before you use a proper visa agent.
Yeah.
They're not going to get you one when you're not eligible. So,
yeah. As a matter of fact, they won't even take your money if you're not eligible. Most of the reputable ones won't take your money. They'll just flat out tell you, because they know what the immigration officer is going to want, and if you don't have it and you can't make it, they'll try to help you to show you ways you can get it. But when the bottom line is drawn, you have to have so many requirements, and there's not an easy way to slip through that. You have to meet the requirements. They just make it a lot easier for you to do that. The hotel occupancy rate in the old city, I really don't, it's hard to tell. I would guess at the moment it's probably at about 20%, if that. Charlie, what did you find when you didn't have any problem getting a hotel room, did you?
No, not at all. I just spent 3 nights. I got back this morning from Chiang Mai on the overnight train back to Bangkok is where I live. And when I was visiting Bill and making some videos, and I got a pretty nice room, the Golden Bell Hotel, for 800 baht a night, which is pretty cheap for a hotel like that. And I was walking around the old city, and was it Loy Crow Road? Am I saying that correctly? It's kind of the touristy road. There was a restaurant there that I wanted to go to, and I was walking around and up to the Gecko Cafe, which is a favorite place of Bill's and all that. And you pass places that I'm presuming at one point were very prosperous with tourists, and it's downright grim. It really is. It's a lot of closed stores. There were families visiting. I saw a lot of European families. I couldn't determine exactly where they were coming from, or even if they were all coming from the same place. But there were the tourists that I did see there tended to all be families, I took a tuk-tuk. This old character took me to the rail station to buy my ticket and back, and his tuk-tuk was tattered. I mean, he had duct tape holding the seats together and that kind of thing. And I was making a joke. I said, "Me, you, and your tuk-tuk all have something in common. We're all old." And he says he doesn't have the money to repair it. It's just things. Things for for people like that in Chiang Mai are still pretty grim. And it was, it's improving here in Bangkok. It's not back to where it was, but I think we're in better shape than Chiang Mai. And Pattaya and Phuket look like they're kind of on the road back to what might be a little bit of tourism prosperity. But when I say the road back, if maybe they're halfway back, and at this point that would be a lot. But Chiang Mai is, that's why Bill kept saying, he goes, I don't think it's coming back for years, and I'm like, I don't know, it seems to be improving here. And now I know why he says that, because Chiang Mai was a little on the grim side. Plenty of hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Cheap.
I've said this all along. I think it'll be 10 years before it gets even close to what it was back then, and that's provided we don't have any more setbacks. If we do, it could be longer than that. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing: the trains were full. I was going to take a train up there, and I couldn't get a ticket, so I flew up, and the plane was full. The plane I took on. What did I take? I took Thai Smile, which is the regional version of Thai Airways, and the only seat I could get was a plus seat, their version of like business class. It's like not quite that nice. I would call it business class, but it's plus. It's a bigger seat, and they give you something to eat. And I don't mind that, because I probably would have bought that anyway. But that was all that was available, so I found that interesting. That the planes were full going up there, and so were the trains. And then coming back, the same thing. I couldn't get a lower berth on the 6 o'clock train, so I had to take the 5 o'clock train to get a lower berth. And so there are people traveling in and out of that region. Now, all those crowds might have been, there was an incident at Chiang Rai Airport last Sunday. So I guess it's 6 days ago. A plane skidded off the runway in the rain, and they closed the airport down for 4 days. So that affected regional travel. Now my joke with that is like, I'm glad nobody was hurt. So let me put that out there. Nobody did get hurt. But my joke with that is when Sullenberger landed his plane in the Hudson River, they got that out of the river in less than 24 hours. They took 4 days to reopen the airport up there. I'm like, come on, Thailand, you need to do better than that. And I think that had a part in gumming up the transportation works. I'm only guessing, because I'm wondering if all of these trains and planes and buses are full. Where are these people? Because they weren't in Chiang Mai.
I don't know. I understand that Nook Air was they had changed all their flights into Chiang Mai, and then the people that were going to Chiang Rai were being bussed up to Chiang Rai. But I don't really see that many people going up there, really. I would think the majority of them would stay here in Chiang Mai. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but you wouldn't know it by walking around town that the planes are all full coming up or down.
Well, what somebody suggested to me, and is probably right, is that the airlines have adjusted their number of flights to meet the demand. It's not so much the demand is filling the available flights. They're probably reducing the number of flights down to meet the demand. That makes sense.
It has changed a lot in the last 2 years up here. When you come back, you're going to find a lot of places that had been in business for a good many years have now, folded up their doors and moved on. A lot of the, quite a few of the restaurants that were open before are gone. Some of the hotels have closed down. We lost a lot during COVID. It was kind of funny that the other day when we were going through the only place that I know of other than Gecko and that really didn't have any interruptions was a little restaurant right on the side of the moat. I can't remember now. I can't think of the name of it, but it's been there for years. And now John's place, that went out of business. I'm trying to think of another one that went out. Arts Cafe across from Taipei Gate, that folded up. Quite a few of them didn't quite make it.
Yeah, there's a lot of for sale signs and a lot of for rent signs around.
Yeah, Top North stayed open through the whole time. Hoping in that area, assuming all the shops empty and for rent. I was up. I rarely get up to Nimen. I try to avoid that area as much as possible, but I had to go up there the other day for, Lek had dropped her tablet and smashed the top of it, and I was bound and determined we were going to get fixed. And we had to go up there to get it fixed, and I was amazed at the amount of people walking around Niman, and a lot of the places have opened back up that had been shut down for years. It was pretty busy up there, more so up there than what you'd find around the old city. There's not, they've pretty much opened up there. I was living in Japan, hence my YouTube name. I will come back. Now I am personal care for my brother. Well, I hope you get back here pretty soon. It's you fall in love with this place up here, and when you get away from it, you want to come back. I know I always do. I moved away for 3 months, and it was supposed to have been a permanent move, but I missed it up here. I like it. And I know, Charlie, you're the same way with Bangkok. You get away from Bangkok for a couple of weeks, and you want to, you're ready to come back.
It's my home
now. John, we can't keep you nailed down long enough to figure out where you live. This guy, John, has some excellent motorcycle videos. This guy has ridden. You've done some great bike videos. Even on that little one you had. When you went down, you rode all the way down to Trot, didn't you? Or
on my CB300, my old CB300, I went to Chiang Mai to Bangkok and then to Pattaya, and I don't think I made it as far as Trat, but yeah, from Pattaya back up to Chiang Mai. But yeah, it's a lot of fun riding in Thailand, as long as you're careful, of course. It can be dangerous, but yeah.
Well, you're used to riding a motorcycle in Bangkok, aren't you?
I used to ride in Bangkok when I lived there a while ago, but yeah, I've never had an accident as of yet. Well, apart from someone who plowed into the back of me, but I was okay. But yeah, they fell off, but that was their fault. So.
Now, how many years did you live in Bangkok before you moved up here to Chiang Mai?
2006 when I moved there originally. I've been in Chiang Mai now about 6 years, but I had a year in Bangkok. I went to work down in Bangkok in 2019. So I do like Bangkok, but I found that it's too expensive now. It's not. Everything's so expensive, and everywhere that I used to go is closed, and all the new places are all hip and trendy places as opposed to what it used to be. So I find that I prefer the old Bangkok.
Yeah.
Chiang Mai is like a happy medium of you still got all your old stuff that you like, and there's some new stuff coming in. Sort of Bangkok, they've got rid of everything that I liked about the place.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Each to their own.
Yeah, I like to go down and spend 3 or 4 days down there walking around and stuff, and then I'm glad to get back to Chiang Mai. Will the recent decriminalization of cannabis has your life been impacted, or do you think it may be? I don't think so. It hasn't affected me at all. I don't fool with the stuff. I don't go near it. So it really hadn't bothered me any. I don't know about you guys. What are you guys seeing?
I had a great. Go ahead, John.
For me, I think it's a good thing. My concern is that they make it worse again. So I'm fingers crossed they don't, because it's. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's okay. I like the idea.
I had an interesting experience yesterday. I mean, I grew up in the '60s. We used to smoke a lot of pot back then, and I participated too. But I don't anymore. I gave that stuff up years ago. But I have no objection to it. I suppose if you want to do that, just be careful. But I stopped in a cafe yesterday when I was up on Lloyd Crow Road, because I remember from my last trip that they had good coffee. And it's a tattoo cafe. Tattoo Cafe, I think it's called. And it's a colorful place. They're decorated nicely, and they have really nice, cappuccino machines, coffee machines. So I went in, and they had, and as I'm standing there waiting for my coffee to get made, it says cafe on the door, and there's a cannabis menu on the counter, listing all the different products they have in cannabis. And as I looked up at the woman who's making the coffee, above her head is a shelf full of booze, Jack Daniels right overhead. So it says cafe on the door, cannabis on the menu, and Jack is on the shelf. And then I asked her, do you have equal? And she was like, no. And she looked at me as if, that's bad for your health. And so I guess it's nice to know that.
That's funny. Well, I just read a story, and a matter of fact, I mentioned it in the video that I did today, where 2 Thai guys went to Malaysia, and they urine tested them when they got to the Malaysian border, and they tested positive for cannabis, and they locked them up. So, yeah. Well, here, if back when marijuana was illegal, if they urine tested you for any kind of drug and you turned positive, they could charge you with it the same way down in Malaysia. So they're warning people, and I'm kind of worried because, people come here and eat food with marijuana in it or whatever, and then they travel outside the country. If they ever get tested, they could have a problem. So, it's something you need to be aware of.
Don't go to Singapore. I think that's
yeah, really. Is Pai? John, you could probably answer that because I think you were just up in Pai and Mae Hong Son. Is it busy up there?
Yeah, I found Pai to be busier than Chiang Mai in all honesty, but it was like my first time in Pai not long ago, and I fell in love with the city. It's really good. But Mae Hong Son city itself, that was just, I didn't see any foreigners at all there, or other foreigners at all in the actual Mae Hong Son. But Pai is really busy compared to Chiang Mai, at least when I went.
Yeah. Yes, it's bearing in mind that the main thrust is towards medical use. Yeah, that went out the window as soon as it was made legal. Medical use is probably on the back burner now. It's everybody's use now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just got good rain here in Chiang Mai. I'm not sure where you are, but it came down pretty good. Alcohol isn't any good. It's kind of the lesser of the two. It's not the lesser of the 2 evils. It's probably just as bad, if not worse. I think Charlie, you and I had a conversation about that over when you were here. I don't drink, and Charlie doesn't drink. John, I think you'll tip a beer every once in a while, but the thing that bothers me the most about alcohol is people getting behind the wheel of a car and killing somebody, and that seems to be pretty prevalent. And, we haven't had any crashes based on somebody being stoned yet that I know of, anyway.
One thing you never get used to in Thailand is seeing like hideous accidents, and unfortunately people have passed away on the street. Especially living in the countryside, there's always people driving drunk here. It's unbelievable. At least once a month you see a pretty bad accident around this area. I was at the office a few days ago, and you hear almighty crash, and you go outside, and a drunk guy on a motorcycle was just straight into the middle of the road and got plowed into by a pickup. So if you're living in the countryside, just be prepared to see things that you don't want to see, and that's usually called drunk driving. So it's got to be careful.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, since I've lived here, I've seen more bad wrecks than the whole 23 years that I was in law enforcement. Just the wrecks here are just, they don't half do it. It's unreal. There was one that Charlie, I know you saw the video that I posted of the guy that, the car was just encrunched. There was not a straight piece of sheet metal on it. He hit a tree. Remember, he crawled out of that car and walked away from it. And it's just amazes me.
What I remember most about that video, being a retired New York City fire officer, is the guys that responded to that with the hydraulic spreading tool, sometimes called what do they call it? Jaws of life. Yeah, we called it a hearse tool. That was the manufacturer. And there's an art to using that, and it takes a lot of technical knowledge and training. And it's tough to do that at times because you're dealing with these chaotic situations, roadside accidents, people screaming, people stop. It could be a very emotionally stimulating environment. Let's put it that way. And the guys that showed up to that knew their stuff, and I'm presuming they were volunteers because it was out in the countryside. And I remember coming away from the video with that. And of course, the guy got out of the wreck and it was it's like, and it was okay. But they got him out, and I was impressed with with their procedures and their discipline in the way that they handle it, which, you know, a casual observer, you know, probably wouldn't notice what I notice because it's very specific stuff. When you approach wrecks like that, I haven't done it. I know that stuff. But, yeah, that's what, you know. So there are, I'm presuming, volunteer organizations.
Yeah, I believe they are.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job.
John is in Hot, which is about you're about 100 kilometers south of where I'm at.
Yeah, at the moment I'm in Doi Tao, which is a bit further, but I usually live in. Yeah, it's about 100 kilometers from Chiang Mai. Yeah, beautiful countryside.
You haven't had your grass cut. By September, it's going to be probably about waist high. 2 friends of mine have had a bad accident in Chiang Mai. The doctor gave one of my friends attention. He's okay. The other friend lost an arm. Yeah, like I said, we have some bad wrecks here. It's you know, really, in driving on the roads here, it just amazes me that we don't have more accidents than what we do. And I've said this before, we have no, there's no pro-traffic enforcement here. It's all reaction. You know, they'll stand on the side of the road and ask for driver's license. I have never, in the 12 years that I've lived here, seen anybody pulled over in a traffic stop. Never. I've never seen, you know, a police officer go after somebody and try to stop them. It's just, and it's one of the things that, you know, these traffic lights or these traffic cameras and stuff help, but it doesn't stop it. How is inflation affecting each of us? It's not really affecting me much. You know, I am seeing probably the only thing that's really affecting me is gas. And it really doesn't have an effect on me because it's really not that much. Food's gone up. Just about everything's gone up, but it's not something that's not manageable and something that we don't, you know, we kind of expected after a while that things are going to start going up. You know, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I found that the petrol prices have gone, obviously, well, when I bought the car and to now, it's nearly double. And I use the car a lot, so it's like, it makes a big difference. It's an extra 4,000 a month maybe in petrol, so yeah, it's not, not ideal.
Yeah, I used to fill my car up once a month, and now I'm doing it probably two times a month now. And you know, because I put 1,000 baht in it, and you know, fuel is probably doubled or tripled. How did you manage to break the barriers learning Thai, reading, writing first, or just go for conversations? I don't speak or read Thai. I can understand some of it. I went to 8 months of courses, and you know, if you don't use it, you lose it. And we don't speak Thai in the house, so I don't. I have no problem carrying on a conversation versus what little Thai I know and what I can show and do with my hands. John, I think you speak quite a bit of it, don't you?
Speaking, I find difficult even after all these years, but reading and writing, I can read but not pronounce it properly, and I can write like, but not know what it means, if that makes sense. I can read something and not pronounce it and not know what it means, but I know what the letters are. So I don't know how much use that is, but I'm still trying to learn to speak. But
Lost Charlie there.
Yeah, I find it very difficult, but hope to get there eventually.
Oh, Charlie just dropped out there. You add him back in there, he'll pop back in. Says, I had a bad accident in Chiang Mai 10 years ago. Affected high. I can raise my right arm. I'll still ride a bike around Bo Sang where I live, but otherwise drive my pickup truck. Yeah, it happens, unfortunately. I learned to read and write Thai within a week or two, trying to learn to speak it.
That's the same as me then.
Yeah. I tried for 8 months and I didn't have much luck.
Yeah, I find the good thing about reading and writing is it's either right or wrong. This is this, that is that. Speaking, there's so much gray area. That's what I'm not good at.
Yeah. There he is. Oh, he just dropped off again. Where can I buy gang sum in Chiang Mai? John, you probably know that answer.
Gang som. I'm not sure exactly. Gang som is that the southern Thai dish? Gang som.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You just have to check around some of the restaurants. Most of
sure
the
you can find
restaurants. Yeah.
I think I had your problem, Bill. My camera battery went dead.
Oh, I've got a spare right here. I was ready this time. I kept this one ready to hook up at any moment.
Yeah, well, I'm on the laptop now. Now you can see what
Yeah.
set up so nice. You know, you get to see the mess.
I'm trying to figure out an effective way of learning for me. I guess at least learning is to read and helping a lot of general understanding of Thai, so it might be worth it. Yeah, there are some words that you will pick up, and there's others that you won't. When I go get gas, I know what to tell them. When I go to the doctor, I know what to talk to them about. But they're your basic conversations, and I'll tell you a funny story. I bought a lawnmower one time, and I didn't have a gas can, so I went to the market, and I was trying to explain to this lady that I wanted a gas can. Obviously I didn't bring the lawnmower with me, and it took me probably about 20 minutes to finally figure it out. I mean, I walked through the whole store and I'm looking, and I'm not seeing a gas can, and then finally I ended up calling my wife, who was down in Patumtani at the time. I said, "Tell this lady I need a gas can." I handed the phone to the wife. She talked to her, and the lady's just shaking her head. Yeah, over here, and I got my gas can and went home. But it was kind of funny. But just little things like that, you're going to run into it no matter what you do. You guys?
So there's a couple of approaches. When I got to Asia 11 years ago, I started learning Mandarin using a system from Pimsleur. It's an online system that was a lot cheaper than the rest of them. There's a couple of them out there, but they were very expensive. And I found Pimsleur, and it was effective. I found that I was able to pick up enough phrases. I'm not conversant in any of these languages, but I have about, I don't know, somewhere between 30 and 50 phrases now in four different Asian languages. Now with Thai, I've been in Thailand for 6 years, and when I was riding home on the train last night, they, local at certain stops, local people come in selling food, and there was this one woman who came in, and she had, beef stick and pork stick and chicken stick. They're all on sticks, and sticky rice, and I was able to ask her about the food that she had and what it was, and answer, and she answered my questions. And I had the woman who was sitting across from me was very impressed, because it looked to her as if I was conversant in Thai. Now, I'm not conversant. I have a lot of useful phrases that I picked up from Pimsleur. As for learning the alphabet, I did begin doing that. I sat down with, for those of you who may not know, it's a whole different script. It comes out of Sanskrit. It's a very ancient language. I think there's somewhere near 70 characters altogether, but they don't use them all, and you would have to learn the vowels. I think there are 42 vowels, and you would have to learn them. And as I was sitting drawing these new symbols and repeating them, it felt like I was back in the second grade. It was really difficult, for me to put the effort in to do that. Again, I'm not fluent in the language. People that become fluent in languages say that it's best to learn how to write the language as well. So if that's your goal, I suppose, go for it. But I get by just fine. And learning to use Google Translate properly is really valuable in any country that I've visited around Asia.
Yeah.
And they're particularly good at using it in Vietnam. But what I found, if you do, is you speak if you're using the voice command thing on Google Translate, or even if you're typing, speak in using, no adjectives or adverbs, and, very short, direct sentences. Where is toilet, or whatever it is that you need to say. Say it as simply as you can, because languages, Google doesn't get it right all the time either. So Google will then offer you, what the Google thinks that you said. Take that, copy it, paste it, and retranslate it back into English to see what Google thinks that it is that you said. If it works, fine, you show it to them. If it doesn't, rephrase it. And that sounds like a lot, but if you do it like anything else with these stupid computers, you do it over and over again, you get good at it. And I have gotten good at it, So, if you don't want to be bothered with any of this, learn how to use Google Translate efficiently like that. Speak into it, get the translation, recopy the translation back into it, and see if it understood you. And if it doesn't, try again. It's a system that I find that works pretty well.
Says, do you guys like Namfort? No. I like it as long as it doesn't have a real fishy taste to it. I like it on my vegetables. I don't put it on too much of my food, but yeah, the place that I go sometimes and have breakfast, she makes it and she'll serve it with cucumbers, and I enjoy it. It's not too hot for me. As long as it doesn't have a lot of fishy taste to it, I can eat it pretty well. Thanks for the chat, fellas. Very helpful. Do you remember? Yeah, Chill Will, that's kind of between you and your wife. We tried it and it didn't work real well. And I went to the YMCA school and I enjoyed it. I paid 3,000 baht for 12 lessons, and they were 3-hour lessons twice a week, and it was fun, and I got to meet some nice people there as well. You should use Time Kettle. Oh, I've never seen that. I'll have to look that up. Time Kettle WT2 Edge W3 translator. I'll have to look that up. Like chicken stir. Yeah, I love that stuff too, and it's got to be a little bit sweet. It's really, really good. There's a lady that I get my breakfast from. She cooks me kapow every morning. Sometimes I will order stir-fried chicken and with cashews, and it's so good. I enjoy that. That and about anything else. Tonight, it was funny. I was going to order out, and Lek ordered her food from Grab, and they dropped it off, and she said, what are you going to eat? I got on Grab, and I was looking, and they had some new Mexican place that's opened up down here, and I was going to try that. Finally, I just said, I'm going to go to the market. I'm just tired of fooling with Grab and scrolling down and, have to wait 30 minutes. So it was funny. I got down to the market, and I went and sat down, and you could see the clouds rolling in. And I ordered my food, and my food came. And the next thing you know, I'm watching them. They're starting to pull out their tarps and put it over the table and take the stuff off the table. And I scarfed my food down as fast as I could. Got back on the motorcycle, and I'm not kidding. As soon as I hit the door, the heavens just opened up, water everywhere. But that's one of the things here that during rainy season, you never know when it's going to rain. The sun can be shining and not a cloud in the sky, and 30 minutes down the road there, you're in a complete torrential downpour. And I felt sorry for the people at the market, because if it rains like that, they don't do real well. But I just, they're used to it, and they knew exactly what I could tell, because they were moving the tables under the thing, and I'm still sitting there trying to eat real fast, and I was able to get through. But if anybody's got any more questions, we're going to wrap it up here. Shoot them out to us, and we'll get them done before we go. And I appreciate everybody coming in. I appreciate John. I appreciate you stopping in. And next time you get up this way, we'll go have some more Indian food. I've not been back to that. I want to take my wife there, but I'm afraid she won't eat there.
Hey, why not?
I don't know. She's kind of picky. I mean, the place has got some nostalgia to it, and the food's really, really good. But anyway, well, we'll catch you all on the next one. We'll be here next Saturday night at 8 o'clock. I don't know who will be here. Any of you guys that have, John, you're welcome to come back. Charlie, you're always welcome. And we'll see what we come up with next time. Anyway, and when I edit this video into, I'll put all these guys' links to their websites or their YouTube channels in the comment section, so everybody can check out. You got to check out John and Charlie's stuff. Charlie, I've got a picture of you. I thought I had done the video. See if I can put it. Yeah, it's up in the right. I'll. That's you up on the waterfall. I thought I downloaded the video. I was going to play the video while we're here. He came up here and we were going waterfall hunting. And I stayed down on the ground. I watched him climb up there, and he's scooting up on his butt, and he's really trying to get up to that waterfall because he wanted to take some pictures. And I thought, God, if he falls, about the only thing I'm going to be able to do is call 1669 and let them pull his ass out. But fortunately, we survived. But anyway, appreciate everybody coming in, and hopefully we'll see y'all next week. But if you'll check in the comment section, you'll find these guys' web channels, right there where you can click on them. See you guys later. Have a good night.
And I know.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.